Hello, BookTube.
Hey.
We're going to be doing something just for fun this evening. We're going to do another tag later, but to start with, we're going to do a few of our favorite things.
Yeah.
Video. We've been watching a lot of videos about snobbery.
About book snobbery.
About book snobbery, especially amongst writers and authors and readers and booktubers. And I have some experience with this. I was telling Steve Donahue and him the other day, when I was in college, we first day of one of my writing classes, we were going around the room introducing ourselves, and part of the criteria of that was to tell what your favorite book was. And the first three people who were talking were made it clear that they thought anything that was mass marketed at that time was garbage. Unless it's a classic, it's not worth talking about.
Or probably literary fiction at the time.
But it was really funny. They actually used the word garbage. I think somebody called Dean Koontz garbage. And I noticed after that, everybody's favorite book was a classic of some sort. I think I said Pride and Prejudice, which it is one of my favorite books. Not my favorite book. My favorite book would have been considered garbage. But we've come into our own with reading. And
BookTube's been a big part of that.
Yeah, we're very comfortable in our reading preferences now. And so tonight we're going to give you our top 20 favorite novels.
Yep. And some of them, many people would consider garbage or trash. And some of them I would consider trash, but none of them are garbage.
No.
You know, some of them are trash, but none of the books on this list belong in anybody's garbage. I think they're all worthy. I think they should be read by a lot of people, and I think they have been read by a lot of people. Most of my list. I read a lot of these after we started our channel. Yeah, her stupid Apple Watch goes crazy.
My watch just started having a conversation with me. I don't know why.
Dumb thing. I wouldn't own one of those if you paid me to wear it.
I love this watch.
But I think they're all worthy. Every one of them.
I agree.
In some way, these books are worthy to be read.
We've got classics. We've got modern literature. There's some cozies on mine.
There's some horror.
There's some sci-fi.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of all over the place.
It is all over the place because we read all over the place. There's no reason not to read all over the place. If a person who really wants to be well-read, you read wide. You don't read one type of literature and expect to be well-read.
I totally agree.
So, yeah.
So, starting with number 20. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's do this. So, my number 20...
Yeah, and we're doing top 20, not top 10. So, if anybody wants to do this, hell yeah, go for it. We would love to see everybody do this. It didn't take us that long because a whole lot of these I've read in the last year since we started our channel. So, yeah.
All right, so my number 20 is at the very bottom of my list, but by no means least. And just a preface. I do this a lot. There's a lot of series,
yeah. Because it didn't seem right to pick one book of a series.
Yeah, especially when they're continuations of the same story all the way through. I can't pick one book.
And on a few of these, we'll have props. Most of them we won't, because we have a lot of books. And we wanted to get this out and not have to prepare for it anymore.
And there are a couple of books in here. There are a couple of books in here I haven't read in 20 years. Number 20 is the Innkeeper series by Ilona Andrews. They are modern day fantasy. They're urban fantasy.
Urban fantasy. I actually read the first one and I didn't like it at all. But again, that's okay.
I love that series so much. Love that series so much.
Ilona Andrews, they're actually a husband and wife team who write urban fantasy.
Yeah, and the innkeeper, she keeps an actual inn that's sort of a way station for interstellar travelers, and it's so good.
Yep.
So
and
good.
Number 20 for me, And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. Great book. I've read it twice. I really, really enjoy this book. It's easy to read, easy to get through.
It's on my list.
It's wonderful. I love it. I love the. It is a classic storyline
Oh
that has
yeah.
been done over and over and over again. But this is, as far as I know, that's the original one.
Oh yeah.
Great book.
It's one of the reasons I'm so into mysteries.
Yep.
So 19.
Yep.
Number 19 for me. Number 19 is It by Stephen King. I love that book. I actually listened to it on audiobook. It was 45 hours long. But it was amazing, absolutely amazing. The narrator was absolute perfection. It was the guy who played in Wings.
Oh, I don't remember his name. Tim Daly.
Tim Daly, that's him.
Yep.
He was awesome.
Yep. My number 19 is Julie Garwood's The Secret. This is a historical romance book. I read this last year during Summer Fling. It was the first book I read that month.
Mm-hmm.
It turned out to be one of my 2 or 3 favorites of Summer Fling. Loved this book a lot.
Also, incidentally, the first historical romance he ever read.
Yeah, the first historical romance book I ever read. It hasn't been the last. It won't be the last.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep reading them.
It's a fantastic book.
It is a great book.
Historicals.
It is a great book.
All right, number 18. So for my number 18 was, and then there were none. Love it.
Yeah, it is great.
It's such a good book.
Number 18 for me is The Big Sleep by Raymond Chandler. I don't have it in here. It was a big 5-volume omnibus that I have that I didn't want to lug in here from a different room. The Big Sleep is a wonderful, hard-boiled detective novel. It's a great movie with Humphrey Bogart. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Or if you haven't read it, you should read it. It really is good. If you're into mystery, it's got a good mystery in it. But it's strange that it doesn't tell you everything at the end.
It has a surprising
ambiguous ending.
Vein of humor too.
Yeah.
That you don't see with Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah, Humphrey Bogart was great. It was great in that role.
Yeah, it was really surprising.
Yep.
It's a very good movie. I haven't read the book.
It's good. It is very much like the movie. So.
All right, number 17. For me, that's The Shining by Stephen King, and that's the last of my Stephen King books.
Yeah.
The Shining is actually one of the first books that I had to put down and walk away from for the night, because it actually creeped me right out in the middle of the night. I was lying in bed. I think it was 2:00 in the morning, and I made the everlasting mistake of thinking, I'll just finish this chapter. And the topiaries scared the crap out of me.
You mean the tapiocas?
The tapiocas scared the crap out of me. I ain't living that one down anytime soon.
My number 17 is a Stephen King, and the only Stephen King on my list, and that's Salem's Lot.
That's a good one.
I think, was that the only vampire book he wrote? It's great. I really enjoyed that. Now, it would have been on my list a year ago. It would have been near the top. But I've read so much stuff since that I just put above it. And Salem's Lot has stuck with me, whereas it has not. It hasn't. It is stuck with me, but not in a good way. So, yeah that's 17.
It has really stuck with me. I liked it a lot. All right, number 16. For me, this one is the Black Winter series by Darcy Coates.
Mm-hmm.
I love Darcy Coates. She's one of my favorite authors. She writes sort of cozy horror novels, lots of haunted houses and things like that. But this one is actually kind of an apocalyptic novel. And she has these creatures in there called the Hollows. They're really, really creepy. And it's just sort of from beginning to end. It just keeps you on your toes the entire time. It's relentless.
I read one novella by her that I really enjoyed. It was good.
I think you'd like the Black Winter series.
I think I would too. My number 16 is Foundation Trilogy by Isaac Asimov. I really enjoyed this series, and I know Isaac Asimov is not a character writer. As a matter of fact, you would have trouble, and Steve Donahue brought this up not long ago. You'd have trouble finding a woman in any of his stories. He just didn't know how to write them.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, he just didn't know how to write them, so he didn't.
Well,
now, is it worse not to put them in the story, or is it worse to put them in there and write them poorly? I don't know.
That's the question, but honestly, I think it sort of stems from the fact that is not a character-driven story
No, it's not.
at all.
No. No.
So it's...
It is good. I enjoy that series a whole lot.
Oh, yeah. I've read the first book.
Yeah.
All right.
So far.
What are we on? 16? Number 15. My number 15 is a cozy, and it's actually one I've read recently. It's Death in the Budapest Butterfly. And when I read this, did I read it for... I want to say I read it for
March Mystery Madness?
March Mystery Madness last year.
Maybe.
I think so.
Okay.
I loved this book. I spoke about it endlessly when I read it. It's a perfect cozy as far as I'm concerned. It's got everything I look for in a good cozy mystery.
My number 15 is Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke. It's one of 2 Arthur C. Clarke books I have on here, I think. Yeah. Pretty sure. Hold on. Yeah, it is. And Childhood's End is about an alien invasion. And it's almost a soft alien invasion for a long time. And I really enjoy it. It is an excellent book. I have a good time with it. I have a good time with Arthur C. Clarke. I know he is very popular, and I understand why. Yep.
Number 14, my number 14 is the Bibliophile series by Kate Carlisle.
She talks about this one a lot.
I love that series. They're about Brooklyn Wainwright. She's a bookbinder, and she goes around solving murders that for some reason she is always there for. And I love them.
Yeah.
I've talked about it many times on this channel. I really do enjoy those books. I always look forward to them.
I'm surprised to find out a lot of people don't like them. And
yeah, it's very, very ambiguous. Not ambiguous. Split down the middle. Polarized.
It's divisive, yeah.
Yeah. There are a lot of people who don't like them.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't read them.
Freaks me out.
So my next book I read this last year. I think it was the first book I read last year, I believe. Ignore the coffee stains on the front of it, but it's Little Women. And I read this exact copy. And if you'll notice, I have no trouble with these Barnes & Noble paperbacks. They last me, and they last me, and they last me. I've had a lot of them for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And I loved Little Women, especially the first half. It was written to be two books. The first half when they were just girls. The second half is women. And I thought it was amazing. It was great. And I definitely understand the love that it gets. I think it is definitely probably one of the top 20 classics of all time, in my opinion. Yeah, maybe even a top 20 Victorian novel, even though it was written in the United States.
Well, still the Victorian era.
Yeah, it was. And I love it. It's the only Louisa May Alcott I've read, but I've got some more up or downloaded to read on my Kindle.
Okay.
Excellent book.
All right. We're up to number 13. Lucky number 13. For me, this is the MJ Halliday series by Victoria Laurie. They're the ghost... I think they're the ghost finders. Or ghost hunters. I think they're the ghost finders.
Ghost finders, I think, yeah.
I can't tell you how much I love that series. She's a medium. MJ Halliday is. She and her best friend run a paranormal TV show, and it's amazing. They are so much fun. They're actually surprisingly creepy. There are some scenes in some of those books that really, really gave me goosebumps. She doesn't write them anymore. She's wrapped up the series by now, but they're such a good read.
Shoulder hurts.
I'm sorry.
Okay, number 13 for me is Perdido Street Station. We just read that a few months ago, and it was not a simple read. Not that it went, not that it was deep and hard to read. It's that it was bleak and dark and dirty and relentless. But I really did enjoy it a lot. And it might be something I read again one day. I don't know. I would like to read the second book in the series, and I also want to read The City in the City by China Miéville. He's great. I think Perdido Street Station is probably one of the best sci-fi books to be written in a long time.
Yeah.
You don't read sci-fi much, so.
I know, but I can agree with this. It's a very accomplished book.
Yeah.
He is a very, very good writer. I will never read it again.
Yeah. She had trouble with the brutality of the book.
Yeah, there were some brutalities in there that really upset me.
Yep.
Number 12, another series. I know you're surprised. My next three are actually the same author. I couldn't decide which one I liked better, so I just put them all together. You want to do your next three together too?
Yeah.
All right, so my next three are all by Simon R. Green. This is number 12, 11, and 10. Number 12 is the Ishmael Jones series, and they're mysteries, with a interesting paranormal twist, that I really, really like. A lot of there are some closed room mysteries. There's manor house mystery. There is he's a British author that I can't get enough of those kinds of books that he writes. The next one is the Ghost Finders series. I was sensing a pattern here. His Ghost Finders, they're not cozies. These are not cozy mysteries, but the Ghost Finders are they're I think that, honestly they're straight up horror. There's some creepy scenes. He has a hang up about trains. There's a creepy haunted trains in like 2 or 3 of his Ghost Finders books, and they're creepy. He had me on the edge of my seat a couple of times. And the last one is one of his more well-known series, and it's the Secret Histories, which is about the Druids. It's a family of I don't even know, they're spies. Every book is based on the title is based on a James Bond novel. The first book is The Man with the Golden Torque. But they wear a necklace that actually, when they activate it, it turns into full body golden armor. And they're amazing. I love that series so much. If you like a good urban fantasy, sort of spy caper series, The Secret Histories by Simon R. Green are where it's at. They are really good.
Yeah, my number 12. I have the book, but I didn't bring it in here. It's The Bastard by John Jakes. Man, what a great book that was. That is so much fun. And I think you would enjoy it, but I'm not going to ask you to read it. Because, I mean, it is a pretty thick book. It's 500 plus pages. And I'm not sure you would like it. So,
I think so.
Yeah, number 11, Murder on the Orient Express. I have this book in the bedroom, but I didn't bring it in also because I just wanted a few. But I love Murder on the Orient Express. Man, what a good book. You love it too, don't you?
It's on my list.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got number 10, I have Hyperion, which we just finished.
That's an amazing book.
And it was pretty close between Hyperion and Perdido Street Station, which I like better, but I liked Hyperion more. I think it is a friendlier book to read. It was easier for me to get into. And there are characters in it that you can root for, unlike Perdido Street Station. I couldn't root for any of those people.
There was barely a likable character in that entire book.
But I loved Hyperion. And if you're on the fence about it, it's not a hard read.
It's not.
It is surprisingly a simple story.
It's very straightforward.
Kind of based on what was it based on? Chaucer, yeah.
Yeah, it's a group of pilgrims telling their stories about why they're there and why they're going to where they're going.
Yeah. Not a hard read. I say give it a shot. And just like my number 1 book, which we'll be talking about, give it more than 50 pages.
Yeah, I was really intimidated by that book.
Yeah.
Before we started, but it's very straightforward.
Yep.
It doesn't have any really, really hard in-depth concepts.
Yep.
But it's very elegant. It's extremely elegant.
Yeah, elegant's a good way to put that story. Yep.
All right.
Go ahead.
On to number 9. So between number 9 and number 3, it's sort of any man's game. I couldn't really come up with a really reliable order because I love all these books so much. But my number 9 is Murder on the Orient Express. I love it so much. I love just about every movie adaptation that's ever been made of it, and I enjoyed the book just as much. It was such a
Yep.
good read.
Yep. I enjoy the book more than I would say any of the movies. I do like the Albert Finney version the best, but I don't mind the new version.
I loved the Kenneth Branagh
I
version.
thought it was just fine. Yeah.
I loved it.
Okay, my number 9 is one I actually have is The Great Gatsby. This is the new Penguin copy after it actually hit public domain. And I was waiting for this. I was waiting for the Penguin. I thought about getting the Penguin Deluxe, but it was almost twice the price, and it had the same stuff in it. So I didn't see any reason to get the Penguin Deluxe. It doesn't have the French flaps and the gorgeous cover and all that, but this is just fine for me. It still has the same introduction and all that. So The Great Gatsby, if you haven't read it, again, if you're on the fence about it, it's a quick read. Just go through it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But I loved it, and I thought the characters, even though again there wasn't a lot of people to root for, but they were all easy to read. There's nothing hard about that story. It's very simple.
Straightforward.
Again, elegant, straightforward. Nothing hard about it. I say read it. It's quick, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. Although I know a lot of people that didn't. You go.
We're not naming any names or anything. Number 8. My number 8 is The Elementals.
It's the same for both of us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The Elementals by Michael McDowell is single-handedly the best horror novel I've ever read.
Yeah, it is.
It's
so easy to read. Again, it's short. It's not real short, but it's not long. Michael McDowell knows how to do Southern Gothic.
He spins a scene like no one I've ever read before.
And in my opinion, he's probably the most underrated horror novelist.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
It's seriously worth the read. It is so good.
Yeah.
All right, number 7. My number 7 is right there tied with Elementals. It's called Swan Song by Robert R. McCammon.
You have that book, don't you?
I do. I do.
Yeah. And it's huge.
Look at this beast. Swan Song. This is an apocalyptic novel.
And post-apocalyptic.
Semi-post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
About a group of people who are just trying to survive the apocalypse. And there's some wild things that go on. I'm not going to spoil it because if you haven't read it and you like a good apocalyptic novel.
Yeah. I don't have The Stand anywhere in my top 300 books probably of all time. I don't like it at all. I think it's terrible. But I love Swan Song. Swan Song is the post-apocalyptic novel in my opinion.
It's a magnificent work of fiction.
Yeah. It is.
It's magnificent. And if you have trouble picking up a brick like this, the audiobook
is very good.
It's great. Yeah. The narrator is very, very good.
Yep. Let's see. Number 7 on my list, Rendezvous with Rama by Arthur C. Clarke. That is my favorite Arthur C. Clarke book. I have 2 of his on here. But Rendezvous with Rama it's almost prophetic in a way because something similar to that happened to the first half of this book happened not too long ago when I think it was the U.S. I'm not sure though, but they sent a vessel shooting toward this asteroid and landed on this huge asteroid, which is what happens in Rendezvous with Rama. In Rendezvous with Rama, they find out some things about the asteroid that didn't happen they didn't happen in real life.
I need to read that book. That's
it's excellent. It is a very good book. And again, it's not so much a character study. Arthur C. Clarke, I think he's a better character writer than Isaac Asimov. But he's not really a character writer either. But I would say I like Rendezvous with Rama better than the Foundation series for sure.
Okay.
So I have quite a bit of sci-fi on here, but that is that my favorite sci-fi book? Yep, I say it is.
I don't think.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's my second favorite sci-fi book.
I don't have any sci-fi on here.
No, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay, so number 6. My number 6 is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. What can I say about it that hasn't already been said?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful work of, is it Victorian romance?
I guess it is, yeah.
I think it's Victorian
I'm pretty
romance.
sure 1850s, 1840s.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's one of the Victorians, because Jane Eyre was Regency, but I think I'm pretty sure it's Victorian. It's such a beautiful story, and again, I've loved just about every movie version of it, adaptation of it that I've seen. Although the made for TV miniseries is where it's at.
Yeah, it is. It's great. Was it BBC? No, I think it was PBS.
Was it Masterpiece?
Yeah, I think it was Masterpiece on PBS.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was wonderful. We watched that for the little bit of time that we lived in Missouri, and we just loved that. And she watched it over and over. Actually, we both did.
We've seen it several times.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
My number 6, we're at 6, right?
Yes, we are.
Is Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. I read this. This is the first book I read this year, or was it last year? It was this year.
Oh, I think it was this year.
Yeah, it was. And the Scarlet Letter just... I just loved everything about it. It was hard to get Hawthorne's writing at first. It's not the easiest thing in the world to get, but once you do, it's kind of like reading Shakespeare, but much easier. I mean, Shakespeare does take a little more discipline to read.
Honestly, it's kind of like reading a translated work.
Yeah, in a way, it kind of is, because Nathaniel Hawthorne had...
Some of the sentence structure is kind of odd.
It is, but it's not hard once you get into it. And I thought it was a wonderful story. Not the best story I've ever read, because that was number 6, but it was a story that was, you know what? It was my favorite book of last year, because I read it last year. Remember, we did it. We did our end of the year, and it was last year, and I loved it. It was the first book I read, I think, after starting our channel. But yeah, Scarlet Letter number 6.
Yeah. Number 5. So my number 5 is The Belgariad by David Eddings. Yep. I read this book when I was 13 years old.
Something on there.
What?
I'll tell you about it when we get to the end.
Oh no, I read the book when I was 13 years old, and it has stuck with me ever since. It's an amazing sort of Lord of the Rings-esque series. It's very Lord of the Rings-esque. Let's be serious.
Of course.
But it follows that hero's journey. It's so good. So good. And I cannot believe they haven't made a movie or TV or of it.
Yeah,
Show
I think it would work out well.
Series.
I really do.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know about a television show these days. Do you remember what they did to the Sword of Truth? Which Sword of Truth series we didn't like. I read the first 2 books and I was done. She read about the first 7 books and was done.
I read the first 6.5 books. I actually DNF'd the 7th book. I got to my 450th rape scene and went, nope.
Yep.
I'm done.
Yeah, my number...
But yeah, they butchered
actually,
those books.
Was that 5 for you? Yeah.
That's number 5.
My number 5 is by Flannery O'Connor. It's called Wise Blood. Man, what a weird story. It's a story you should read just to see what you think about it. It's short. I think it's a novella maybe, or could even be considered a short story. But Wise Blood is about a man who goes and evangelizes and starts some sort of church of the devil. and it's so weird, and the people he meets are very strange. She does weird perfect. She does weird. Flannery O'Connor does weird the way that it should be done.
She has a deft hand at weird.
Yeah. So
especially weird people.
Yeah. So Wise Blood, Flannery O'Connor. I would say a must read for just about anybody. I mean, unless you don't want to. We're talking about
a lack of snobbery.
A lack of snobbery.
If you don't want to read it, don't read it.
That's right. If it's not your thing, don't read it. If it is your thing, try it. See what you think. Yeah. Great book.
Number 4 for me is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Eyre.
Jane Austen.
What did I say?
Jane Eyre.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Jane Austen. I have a gorgeous copy. Look at this. And look at these. Look at those end papers.
Yeah.
Is this beautiful? He got it for me.
Yep.
It's one of my favorites.
It's her 4th favorite book, so
it's
she
my
needs a
4th.
nice copy.
It used to be my 1st, but it's my 4th favorite book. I love Jane Austen.
You do
I
love
Pride
Jane
and Prejudice. I keep getting confused by Jane Eyre and Jane Austen
Yeah,
and Pride and Prejudice. I've enjoyed every movie adaptation that I've seen.
Yeah.
Every single one, although the Keira Knightley one sort of basically pretty well wins
You think so?
for me. Yeah.
I like the BBC one we saw more.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I enjoyed it more.
I like Bridget Jones's Diary.
Yeah.
But not more than the
Yeah.
Keira Knightley one.
Okay, number 4 for me is Bleak House by Charles Dickens. This was the first Charles Dickens novel I wrote. Still, so far, my favorite. It is awesome, I think.
It's really
Yeah,
good.
you read it at the same time I did.
Oh.
It's really... Oh, yeah, Jane Austen.
Pride and Prejudice, look at that.
Yep, it's on mine, too. These are old-fashioned cocktails, in case you're wondering. Mine's made of rye, and hers is made of bourbon.
Mine is most definitely not made of rye.
But Bleak House... Bleak House was an interesting read for me because it was the biggest Victorian novel I've read so far.
It's like this thick.
Yeah. And it tells a lot about the justice system and the legal system.
It never really gets boring.
Yeah, no, it's
surprisingly
got
enough.
a couple of really sad parts in it. And I do understand why people say that Charles Dickens is a little heavy-handed when it comes to his emotions and things like that in books.
Yeah.
I totally understand that.
Yeah.
But I fall for it.
It works for me.
Yeah, it works for both of us. We enjoy it. And again, if you don't like it, don't read it. But I really enjoyed Bleak House.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It never really got boring for me.
No, me either.
All right, so number 3 is kind of a necessity for any list I make, and it's The Lord of the Rings. They're amazing.
Yeah.
I'm named after the series, so I have to.
Yep. Her middle name is. Go ahead.
My middle name is Galadriel. We pronounce it Galadriel. They pronounce it Galadriel in the movies.
Yeah.
But
She was named that before.
When I was born, we had never seen a movie that mentioned it. So I've been Rebecca Galadriel my entire life, and it works for me.
Yeah. All right, my number 3 is a debut novel, believe it or not. But I read it last year as well, and it's The Last Samurai by Helen DeWitt. God, what a weird book again. I like weird. And The Last Samurai is about a very a genius level kid, but is he genius level? In the book, that's kind of the question that they're asking. Would any child raised the way he was, be just like he was? You know, he was raised reading the classics. He was raised reading, ancient Greek. And he was raised learning Latin. You know,
sort of a thought novel.
Yeah, it is, but it's very experimental.
Yeah.
But it's a novel that I really enjoyed. And I think if a person likes postmodern novels, likes experimental novels, try out The Last Samurai. It's not the same, but Helen DeWitt does a wonderful job telling this story. So give it a shot, The Last Samurai.
All right.
So down to 2 and 1.
Number 2. My number 1 and number 2 are actually kind of interchangeable. I love them both dearly. But my number 2 is called The Redemption of Alphalus by David Eddings. I have the book here somewhere.
Yeah, we can't find it right now.
No telling where. It's on one of the 4 dozen bookshelves we have, I'm sure.
In front of us here, I think
Could be.
It is.
It's a David Eddings book. He's the same author as who wrote The Belgariad. That was a butcher job of a sentence. But for me, it's the perfect fantasy novel. I loved every last sentence in that book, from beginning to end. Again, it's this thick, and it sticks with me. And it's been one of my very favorite novels for years.
Yep.
That's The Redemption of Alphalus.
My number 2, no surprise to anyone who knows me and likes me. Knows enough about me. It's Moby Dick. What a beautiful copy this is, but beside the point. And again, a very weird novel. One of the strangest books I've ever had in front of me. He will take these long sections, these chapters, long chapters, to tell us about his whaling adventures. Right in the middle of this, he will stop the story and tell about what is happening in the rooms where they're butchering the whales, or where they're, where they're preparing the meat, where they're doing so many different things, but it to me, it added to the weirdness, but it also added to the storytelling. It's so
it adds an extra bit of experience. That's actually something that makes for a good story.
Yeah.
If you're going to write about a skill a certain person takes part in, learning about that skill as an author is really important, so that you can include authentic experiences for your people to read about.
Now, let me tell you, I think whaling is a terrible thing.
Yes.
But that doesn't take away from the, I don't know, it's hard for me to explain. Just the weirdness of this book, but the compelling nature of the book as well.
It adds authenticity.
It does. It adds authenticity, but I think if you were to read it, you'd understand me. If you don't read it and you hear me try to explain it, it doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense as to why that would be entertaining, but it is entertaining.
Okay.
Your number 1.
Number 1. We're almost there. My number 1 favorite book of all time is Persuasion by Jane Austen. I love this book with a passion. I love this book.
I haven't read it yet.
It's beautiful. It's haunting. It's sweet. Anne Elliot is just magnificent. And there's a letter in here that I'm going to cross stitch onto a pillow one day, I swear. If you've ever read it, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, my number 1
favorite
is Dune, and the first book of Dune. I haven't gotten past the first book of Dune because I've heard some really good things about the other books, and I've heard some terrible things about the rest of the series. So, I will get to them. Yeah. Probably later this year or next year or early next year. I really want to get to them. I'm going to be reading quite a bit of John Jakes this year, so I won't be getting into it this year. But Dune is amazing.
Do you think there's a worry that it might be that maybe the others will sort of ruin the
I think so.
experience of the first one?
Yeah.
That's why I haven't pursued the others, because I really enjoyed the first book.
Yeah, the Dune is my favorite novel. It was a type of novel, and the only time in my life I've ever slowed down on a book just to savor it. Usually I just want to finish the books, Dune was not one of those. It's the only time in my life I've ever done that. And I'll probably read this again before I read the rest of them, because there are parts that I won't remember. It's been 10 years, 8 years, 9 years, something like that since I've read it.
I've read it since you have.
Yeah, you have. And so Dune's number 1. And if any of the rest of you want to do this, please do.
Yeah, do it. I'd love to hear your top 20s. Okay, what was the book that you thought should be on my list but wasn't?
It was there. I just missed it. It was Lord of the Rings.
Oh, it's number 3.
Yeah, I know. I missed it.
Yeah.
But that's it. We got our top 20 out of the way.
We hope you enjoyed this. It was just something.
Have we ever done the top 10 before? I think we did early on.
I think it was one of the first videos we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a top 10, but
yeah,
confining it to a top 10 it doesn't work.
Yeah, it was hard for me. What I did was I went through. I made my top 20, and then condensed it to 10. I was like, why don't we just do all 20?
Yeah.
And it didn't take much longer, so
Yep.
we just went ahead and did the top 20. The video's long, of course, so we're going to get out of here at 40 minutes.
So your books are calling. Go read.